Do women have to recite what we call a zimun? A zimun is when three people eat together and they come to the conclusion of their meal and they're about to say Birkat HaMazon, the grace after meals. They are required to join together and say a special introduction to the Birkat HaMazon. One of the three says to the others, he says, "Let us bless the one whose food we have eaten," and then they say the blessing together, or they say the zimun together. This is the obligation of Zimun, and then the question is are women obligated, women who eat together with either each other, or we're talking about eating bread, of course, who they eat together with each other or together with other people, are they obligated to all add this part of the Birkat HaMazon together to say what's called the Zimun? So in brief, the halachot of a Zimun is that if three people ate together and they are required then, if they come and they finish together, is to eat, they've eaten together, they sat down to eat together. When they come time to do Birkat HaMazon, they have to join together and say the Zimun. Even if two people sat down and ate together and then a third person joined them at a later stage, that's also, since they conclude together, they also have to say the Zimun. If two people ate together and they've come to the end of their meal and they would still eat something more, if you bought something in front of them, they would still eat something more. That means theoretically the meal has not completely finished yet, because even though they've finished, but they would eat something more if you bring it, and then a third person joins them, it's actually a mitzvah to give him then something to eat or to drink, and then he could join in and they could make the zimun. And by the way, the third person, even if he didn't eat bread, he can join in the zimun. Now the question is, what happens if two men ate bread and there's a third woman, either she ate bread or she did not eat bread? Does she combine to make the obligation of the three people saying the zimun together? So the answer is that if the third person is a woman, she does not combine together with the other two men in order to make a zimun. And the reason for this is because even though the sages obligated men to say the zimun together, they did not obligate women to say the zimun together. So women are allowed to say a zimun together, but they're not obligated. So the only time that we say that there's actually an obligation to make a zimun is when there are three people together who have an equal type of obligation. So since men have an absolute obligation and women don't have an absolute obligation, their obligations are not on an equal basis, so they don't combine. So therefore, if there are two men and one woman, or two women and one man, they don't combine together to make the zimun obligation. If three women eat together and they want to make a zimun, they may do so, because in their case, these three people all have an equal obligation. So they're not obligated to say the zimun together, but if three women ate together in the same way as we said before, that they sat down to eat together or they finished together, and then if they wish to say the zimun between them, they may, but they are not obligated to do so. If there's at this table a group of people, men and women, and there are at least three men, and now we have the obligation of zimun, and there are women there, and they are eating together with the men. Since there's an obligation already for the men to make the zimun, the women at the table now also have to respond and answer the relevant parts in the zimun process. So therefore, these are the halachot. If there are two men and one woman, or two women and one man, they are not obligated to make a zimun together. If there are three men who are already or more who are making a zimun, and there are women present, then they are required to join in, because the obligation of zimun has already been formed by three people of a similar obligation. If there are three women together and they wish to make a zimun, they may, but they're not obligated to do so. So these are the halachot of women and a zimun. Now there's one more halacha, which is that we know that if 10 people eat together, they make the zimun, which is they as an addition, and they mention the name of Hashem in the zimun. This is only when there are 10 or more. If there are 10 women, they do not say the zimun, this particular addition in the zimun, because this is like a minyan for tefillah, and you need 10 males for that. So these are basically the halachot regarding women and the obligation of zimun.